How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the channel. My name is Swanee, and today I'm going to be going over the brand new Force of Law Warbond that's going to be releasing for Helldivers 2. And before we get into it, I just wanted to say thank you to those of you that watched and supported my two previous Helldivers videos where I did all the weapon testing. All the support you guys gave to those videos is greatly appreciated, and I just got back from a much needed vacation this past week. That's why I haven't been making any more of those videos, but don't worry, I have a couple more weapon testing videos in the works. I'm going to try to get those posted over the next week or so. And then of course, if you guys enjoyed today's video at any point, then consider giving me a thumbs up because it helps me out in the algorithm, and it helps push my channel to new viewers. So with all that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the new Force of Law Warbond trailer was just released, and it looks pretty sick. And I gotta say, personally, I think this new Warbond looks a lot more exciting than the previous Warbond we got, so I'm super stoked for this, and I can't wait to get my hands on these new weapons and test them out. But let's go over the new PlayStation blog that breaks down everything that's coming in the new Warbond. It says, when it comes to Super Earth, you are the law, the final word of freedom and managed democracy in our streets. You are the keeper of peace and the deliverer of justice, but you need to step up your gear before you go out on patrol. That's why the Ministry of Defense has approved the release of the Force of Law Premium Warbond on June 12th. Then it says, first, let's talk gear. The AR-32 PACIFIER, a large capacity assault rifle, is the last word in defense against the enemies roaming the colonies. Combined it with the new G-109 URCHIN stun grenade, which attaches to the perp and dispenses electrical pulses until they're incapacitated, and you can handle any size squid assembly. So we're getting a new assault rifle, which is always fun and exciting, but I wonder if it's going to come with attachments at release now that we have the whole weapon attachment system. I wonder if it's going to come with just the default optics, or if it's going to have different attachments like laser pointers and flashlights and things like that. I did notice, however, that if you look at the magazine, it's got some blue tape around it. So I wonder if this is them toying around with the idea of having different ammo types for our primary weapons, because that would be sick. And then having a grenade that will just hold an enemy still until they die is pretty nuts as well. Like they show here in the trailer that you can attach it to a flesh mob and it will hold the flesh mob still. I think that's a pretty big deal. That's definitely going to be really handy because the flesh mobs don't care about anything that's normally concussive. Like they don't care about the Liberator concussive, and they don't really care about the Pummeler either, so being able to hold a flesh mob still that's going to be huge. And then up next it says, but hold on, you're still going to need some backup, diver. We can't think of a better companion than the AX/ARC-3 Guard Dog K9. Loyal to its core, the ARC-powered K9 will get between you and any threat to your authority. Just be wary of the occasional accidental friendly bite. So yeah, we're getting an arc thrower guard dog. So this could both be very good and very bad. I can see it now. Like me playing with my friends, they're going to hate when I use this thing, because anytime I ever use an arc weapon, my friends always just run out in front of me and then they die, and then they yell at me because I'm using an arc weapon. So I feel like this is going to be great for solo players because it's going to just shoot out electricity and it's going to stun lock all the enemies. So I feel like it's going to be great for solo play and not so much for playing with randos or playing with your friends unless you all decide to wear the arc resistant armor. Then it says we're also including access to the GL-52 DE-ESCALATOR support weapon, a grenade launcher that fires high-powered arc grenades. The negotiations will be short and shocking when you call this one in. And this looks more like the traditional grenade launcher that we would normally see in like media and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, this looks pretty sick, and I think that's going to be pretty fun to use. Then they go on to talk about the armor. They say, this isn't an undercover job either, so you'll need to get some gear that lets citizens, SEAF, and squids alike know that you're on the beat. Nothing inspires a sense of safety and obedience quite like the sight of a Helldiver wearing the BP-20 Correct Officer medium armor with its protective padding and roomy pouches. But maybe you want to be the first on the scene, which means you need something lightweight. In that case, try the BP-32 Jackboot, a light armor packing fewer pouches, but more panache with an official-looking tailored jacket and sturdy pauldrons. Both armors come with a ballistic padding passive that grants grants the wearer higher resistance to chest damage, explosive damage, and all damage from bleeding. These armors also pair well with either the Miranda's Legacy or the Mother's Eagle's Wings capes, coordinating blue and gold color schemes. So that sounds pretty cool. It definitely sounds like this armor passive is definitely better than the one that we had previously before they buffed it. So a higher resistance to chest damage, explosive damage, and all damage from bleeding does sound like that can save some lives, because there's been a number of different times where I was out of stims and I would just die from bleed damage. So being able to completely negate that can be a pretty big deal. Then they go on to say that the Force of Law also includes new patterns. Watch them scatter when you're paddy wagon. The FRV rolls down the street with the true blue pattern, also available for your exosuits and hell pods. Speaking of hell pods, be sure to equip the new booster Stun Pods, which hotwires your drops to shock nearby suspects into stupor. So this is a booster that's similar to the Hellfire hell pods, but instead of sending out a big thing of fire, it's going to shock nearby enemies that when you land beside them. So that definitely sounds like it could be pretty useful, especially if you're landing in hot and there's like a ton of enemies around you. I could definitely see that being more useful than a lot of the other boosters we've been getting lately. Then they say we haven't forgotten the emotes either. This Warbond comes with 3 hand signal emotes for hold, silence, and group up. Even if the mic is off, you can still organize your unit. So that sounds like it could be cool, but I think they need to give us a little bit more emotes to choose from on our emote wheel if we're going to take advantage of emotes that let us communicate with our teammates and stuff. What I'm hoping happens is that if we ever work with the SCAF soldiers again in the future, that these emotes will work with them, and this will give us a way to like communicate with the SCAF soldiers. Because if we get an SCAF like troop call in as like a stratagem in the future, being able to tell them to hold their position or group up using emotes could be pretty useful. And lastly, you've gotten the gun, but now you need the badge. You'll be able to equip the extrajudicial title, reserved only for those who protect and serve the citizens of Super Earth. Be on the lookout, Helldivers. Force of Law is coming June 12th. This managed democracy isn't going to enforce itself. And that does it for everything in the PlayStation blog, but that's not everything that's coming in this Warbond. At the very end of the trailer, it says available in the Superstore. It is going to be coming with the BP-77 Grand Juror heavy armor and the Badge of Order cape. But what's interesting is we're getting a new secondary weapon in the Superstore, which is the P92 Warrant pistol. And this is interesting because the only weapons we've ever had in the Superstore up to this point have been melee weapons, and now we're getting a pistol. So unfortunately, you're going to have to not only get the Warbond, but if you want this pistol, you're going to have to spend some extra super credits on it as well. And then of course, as always, when this Warbond launches on June 12th, I will test everything out and I will give you guys the pros and the cons and my overall opinions on everything in this Warbond. So if you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. That way you don't miss out on any future Helldivers 2 videos. If you guys enjoyed this video, then be sure to give me a thumbs up because it helps me out in the algorithm. And that is going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all in the next video.